Hi YouTube, Amber DeVos, the seduction expert here. Have you ever wondered about what the 5 love languages are, either because you've heard about them or because you know what yours is but you're not quite sure how it applies to real life? On this episode, I am going to help you guys understand the 5 love languages a little bit better through your questions and answers. I'm going to get started over here on Instagram. And thank you for those of you joining me over on YouTube. Hello, my Instagrammers. Have you ever wondered what the 5 love languages are, either because you know what they are and you're not sure how they apply to your life, or because you have no idea what they are, but you'd like to learn more, but heard that they're important to your love life? Well, I'm Amber DeVos, the seduction expert, and in today's live Q&A in bed with me, we are going to address any questions, all questions that you guys have around what the 5 love languages are and how they apply to your life. Just a quick hello to those of you who are joining me. Hello, Speederman FF. I'm so glad you joined. I saw your comment earlier, so this is really wonderful that you're joining me. Thank you for the hard eyes. I appreciate that. And you guys probably noticed I'm in a little bit different of a background today. That's because A, it is really hot where I am, so my usual studio is just unbearable for live transmission. And B, I am in California, so I don't know if you guys can see, but it's pretty smoky behind me. So for those of you firefighters who are in my audience, thank you so much for the hard work that you do to keep us safe. I cannot tell you how interesting it is to be smelling smoke in the air and still being focused and here with you guys. So I am doing a dual transmission. I'm over here on YouTube and I'm here with you guys on Instagram. And to remind you, this is your opportunity to ask me questions. So if you guys want full out training, I will be doing that later on Patreon tonight for my members. It's a members only experience, but right now is for those questions that you have. So if you have, you know what your love language is and you want to learn more about it, or you have no idea what it is, you're welcome to ask those questions. But for the sake of quick understanding, so that maybe you are inspired to ask certain questions, let's cover what the 5 love languages are. First of all is physical touch. And physical touch sounds obvious, right? If you're in a romantic relationship, maybe sex comes to mind, public displays of affection come to mind, holding hands come to mind, maybe some other things that don't necessarily come to mind, but that are very much part of the physical experience, especially when it comes to love, is our senses. So the sense of smell, the sense of touch, the sense of taste, right? So some people, they say you can seduce them through their stomach. Second love language is words of affirmation. Words of affirmation are expressions of gratitude, acknowledgement, compliments. So, if you guys have been following me for a while, you know that compliments are by far the easiest, simplest, low-hanging fruit when it comes to seduction, especially when they're authentic. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're trying to get into someone's pants. It just means that you are trying to express affection. The next one, service, acts of service. So acts of service is doing something without having to be asked to do it. So one of my favorite examples of acts of service, especially in a romantic couple, is, say, someone washing your car or taking care of the dishes or doing some sort of physical act that may be outside of their usual action. So if someone is always responsible for the dishes, that's awesome because that's still an expression of love and it's an act of service. But it's like above and beyond is maybe when someone does something that is outside of the norm. Fourth is quality time. And this is where, yes, we spend a lot of time with people and around things and in situations, but quality time is when it's uninterrupted. You're focused on each other and you focus on a mutual task at hand. And then the last one is gift giving. And gift giving sounds obvious, right? It's when you take a physical thing and you present it to another person, you present it to another person, but it doesn't necessarily mean the money that you spend, right? So it doesn't have to be a huge outlay of cash. What it is, it's a physical thing that you thought of someone, and here it is in real life, and you're giving it to them as a representation. So one of the reasons why understanding the 5 love languages in the first place is really important is because I notice on a lot of dating sites and talking to my private clients and my matchmaking clients, there's a lot of dissatisfaction and frustration and overwhelm And I think part of it comes from having a level of expectations of the other person, A, to be psychic, right? So I think in a lot of relationships, whether you're meeting someone for the first time or you've known them for a while, is that we have the expectation that they know what we're thinking. And if they don't know what we're thinking, then they don't really love us. Well, the thing is that we have to express what we need and what we want to another person in order to receive what we want, right? To expect someone else to be psychic is obviously insane, right? And you can't be psychic yourself. Someone can't be psychic for you. And so when it comes to romance and love specifically, the love languages are super important to identify for yourself and also to identify in the other person, because as simple as it sounds, it actually is pretty groundbreaking stuff in terms of the connections that are going to last and the connections that are not. So I'm going to say hello to some more people who have joined me. Hello, Carlos Martinez, Memento Kaiser. I can only see so much of the names here, so forgive me if I don't fulfill it all. But I'm so happy for those of you who have joined me. And if you've noticed, I'm doing something a little bit different. Right now, I'm outside because it is hot, 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 and it is super smoky. So this is definitely unique times. I don't know if you can hear the helicopters overhead, but this is my second summer in California, and I am not used to fire conditions yet. But you know what? We have some things to do here. So if anyone has any questions about 5 love languages, feel free to jump in, especially if you have questions about anything that I just shared. And hello to those of you over on YouTube. It is so nice to be able to do dual cameras and dual platforms. And for those of you who are watching right now, I appreciate a like, a follow, a share. Use that little paper airplane at the bottom if you think that the information that I'm giving you is going to be helpful for someone else as well. And the reason why I'm doing this, as a seduction expert, is because the foundation of every successful relationship, whether it's for now or for forever, is communication. And communication, yes, is the words, right? That's how we generally understand it between two people, is the words that are exchanged. But communication also includes the body. Communication also includes the actions. Communication also includes the time and the gifts and all of those other things. And so communication in the form of the 5 love languages, right? Like the languages, communication is so very fundamental to understand and learn, especially when it comes to love, especially when it comes to seduction, because even if it's for now, right? If you're trying to create a connection for a now, being able to understand how someone feels loved or turned on or excited, right? So love languages is a nice simple term for it, but it's the language in which a person feels the most enriched, the most acknowledged, the most fulfilled. And so if you want someone to feel fulfilled in your presence and you want to feel fulfilled in theirs, learning your love languages is super important. Hello, Ralph. So does anybody have any questions for me before I keep diving into this subject? How is everybody doing out there? I don't know how everyone else is in the rest of the world, but like I said, here in Northern California, it is smoky. I'm in Santa Cruz County, and there is a fire in Monterey. There is a fire over in Los Gatos, and thank God for Felton, Ben Lomond, Boulder Creek, all of those fire departments. We squelched 22 smoke investigations the other night after a lightning storm. So, I feel safer for that, but it's a little scary. Hello, our dog 210. So tonight's topic is the 5 love languages, and this is your opportunity to ask me any questions that may have come up for you, even if it is, I don't understand what the 5 love languages are. Help me understand which one is mine. Or Amber, my love language is physical touch, but it isn't always landing for another person. Or my love language is words of affirmation, and so I speak love to other people, but I don't hear words of love back. What do I do? And why I want to teach this to you guys, so I'm a little nervous. The helicopters are like nonstop at this point, is because when it comes to seduction is always getting a yes from someone, right? You're inspiring them to do something that they already want to do, that maybe they didn't know they wanted to do, that they did know they wanted to do, but they just needed you to inspire it out of them. The 5 love languages is such a powerful way to connect with another human being and create things because you're listening for what they need, and also you know what you need in return. Great question. I going to think it's had. I had a date recently and I thought everything was going well. I had a date recently and I thought everything was going well, but apparently it wasn't. Should I have asked her on what I did wrong? No. Asking what you did wrong is coming from a weak position. It means that you are feeling, and I'm going to be blunt tonight, right? Like, we're just going to dive right into it. Asking what you did wrong means that you already feel insecure and unable to provide, which in and of itself may have been what the turnoff was. Not that you were not in action around the things, but that you had the mentality that you might be doing something wrong. A. B. The intention is good, right? So if you're asking what's wrong, it means that you want to improve your performance. It means you care about the other person's satisfaction and happiness, right? So acts of service is most likely a top love language for you. But you are reading and understanding from the other person that even though your intention is good, it's not landing where you want it to. So rather than say what's wrong, which is kind of like taking the backseat, acknowledging that maybe something is missing in you, the question is there anything missing for you in this relationship? What can I do more? What's going to make you happy? And forgive me if this sounds super romantic, but it's very effective, is that your happiness is my happiness. So if there's something missing, let me know. And communication, right? Whether it's in the form of words, actions, gifts, thoughts, all the things that we're talking about right now. Communication is super important and words are the most accessible. So it's easy to ask. If you feel something is off, just ask. Just ask. Hey, like, things feel a little bit off. How's everything going with you? Something missing? I really like you. I want to make sure this works. I want this. I mean, you're going to use your own language, right? Like, I'm not a person who's ever going to give you scripts, like exact words to use. What matters is the thought and the authenticity. But if you feel that something is starting to slip away, especially if you're looking for long term or if you're looking for meaningful, you can just ask, like, hey, like, just checking in. Things seem a little off. Is there anything we need to talk about? Is something missing for you? I really want to make you happy. Is everything working out for you? And it's okay to ask these things, right? Like, I think one of the fun things about being in a romantic relationship with someone is that openness to vulnerability, right? So in our professional lives and everywhere else, we need to, act like we know what we're doing. We're in control of everything. But in our love lives, ooh, thanks for the hearts. Yes, please. I love the likes. Thank you. Is to connect with another person and ask and check in. Does that help out? Give me a thumbs up, give me a hearts, give me a likes, give me waves. Thank you so much for everyone who's joining me. I know I was missing last week because I was in Idaho on a amazing river rafting trip. I was in a place called the Salmon River, and I had never done that before. And here I am coming from New York City, living there for 15 years, being this fabulous celebrity photographer. In the middle of nowhere on a river, camping and sleeping in the dirt, and I loved it. So I missed you guys, but I'm glad I went on the trip. So this is the Seduction Expert in bed session with you, live Q&A, all about the 5 love languages. For those of you who really want to dive deep into the subject, I'm going to be doing some really intense training later on tonight over on Patreon for my members only. So if you are curious to learn more about that, the link is right there in my bio. You can click through. There's different membership levels, whether you want access now, if you want access to the library, if you want access to my courses, and of course, private coaching. All that's available over there for you to check out. But here on Instagram and over here on YouTube, this is your opportunity to ask me those questions that you've been dying to ask, even if it has nothing to do with the 5 love languages. If it's just a dating question or a communication question or even a sex question, because they happen, don't be shy. And let's say you have a question in mind, maybe you don't want to share it on the live, you're always welcome to direct message me as well. And for those of you who are watching on the replay, you can leave your questions in the comments below, maybe start a discussion. I guarantee that for those of you who have questions in your life, other people do too. So for those of you who are brave enough to bring your questions to the floor, you're going to be helping a lot of people by putting it out there and giving me the opportunity to answer it for you. Oh, here's a comment. Been to the Salmon River. It's very nice. It's nice. It's nice enough. I mean, I don't want to tell everyone how nice it is because we don't need to bombard it with people, but it's pretty nice. So how is everybody doing this summer? How is everybody doing in 2020? I just want to check in with you guys. Since this is live, you're here with me. I love to hear what's going on in your lives. I am a coach. I like to hear what's going on, if it's in the form of a question, if it's in the form of a story. Life for me is really good. Like I said last week, I was in Idaho on the Salmon River. It was super fun. I've been working really, really hard over at Talkify, actually, with the matchmaking. So I don't know. Can you see the ash starting to float around? Oh, you guys, this is so scary. Things are going great over at Talkify with matchmaking. And for those of you who don't know, in addition to being a dating coach and a seduction expert, I am also a matchmaker, which means that I take single people who want to elevate their dating game and do my best to introduce them. You can either work with me as a client, which means I actively seek out actively seek out matches for you, or you can be in our database for free, which means that you have the potential to be matched with one of our amazing clients. Either way, you can't lose, because it is for people truly serious about pursuing meaningful relationships, right? Like Tinder has its time and place. I like it for what it is, but it's also very basic and shallow versus like something like Talkify. For those of you who are in my audience that are like really ready for forever, who want the help, who like the advice, I highly, highly recommend that you check that out. So feel free to direct message me, comment, etc. Striking out recently. Help me understand what that means, Ralph. I love the questions, so keep them coming. You guys, I literally feel like I'm inside of a campfire right now. This is insane. Hopefully, things are going to stay good and normal. I'm not going to pretend that there isn't some news happening behind me. All right, so hello, Camilo. Hello, the Bunkhouse. I'm trying something a little bit different with this week's in-bed session, the live Q&A. I'm doing my best to give us a topic to work from. So I know some of you, thank you for the hearts and the likes, had commented on my questions, like, what are your 5 love languages? For me personally, words of affirmation by far is my number 1 love language, and that's not even in romance, not even in sexual lover relationship. It is in every aspect of my life. I mean, if I did not love you guys as my audience, love what I am here to teach, love the mission that I am on, I would not have words to convey these things to you. So words of affirmation for sure, and everywhere in my life is probably my number 1 love language. And in kind, it means a lot to me when someone speaks words of gratitude, acknowledgement, thank you. So, for those of you who say hello and ask you questions, it means a lot to me. Thank you for let me give you a little bit of heart there. And the compliments and the heart eyes, I love all those things. Physical touch is also very important. And again, the 5 love languages, yes. I mean, the original book by Gary Chapman was for married couples. And then he realized that there are so many other people in the world in different situations who also wanted to understand what their love language is. So 5 love languages for singles is amazing. 5 love languages for siblings, for parents, you name it, I guarantee it exists. So I think it's really valuable for anyone who wants to understand how to really connect to other human beings. I'd have to say, like, anyone who's curious about seduction, whether or not they're single, whether or not they're partnered, the reason why they're curious about seduction, right? Like why you're here in my audience, why you follow my page, maybe why you're checking this out for the first time and you're still on the video with me, or why you're watching this replay and you're finding things interesting, is because we are curious and we are, dare I say, committed to learning how to connect with others in a deeper way, right? So if you're not a people person, if you're shy, if you're an introvert, if connecting with other human beings or dating or sex or any of those things aren't important to you, then yeah, you're probably not going to get a ton of value out of the information that I give to you. But if you're someone who is really keen on connecting with other human beings, however it is, romantic, sexual, work-wise, I mean, I get a lot of messages from people saying the advice that I'm giving actually helps them in their professional lives, which is awesome. The 5 love languages are essential. So touch we talked about. Words we talked about. Touch we talked about. Touch, to backtrack a little bit. My battery is low. Sorry. Sorry, guys. I know this is a little bit of a weird transmission, but there's a lot going on behind me. I don't know if you can tell, but there's some smoky air behind me. Touch is not just sex, but it's also PDA, so physical displays. Sorry, guys. Physical displays of affection. It is, yes, hand-holding, kissing, touching, but it's more. It's also sense. It's also taste. It's also among platonic relationships. You know, it's like being able to touch someone on the arm here. You can touch a stranger here or on the elbow. And I know it sounds kind of weird, right, in the time of COVID, because touch used to be a very accessible way to connect with people, and now we're almost like kept from a barrier. So I don't know about you, but I'm a very touchy, huggy, lovey person, and not being able to hug, touch, love, connect with people physically has actually been incredibly painful for me as my love language. So hello, Donnie. Hello, Greg. So for those of you who have questions, feel free to type them in the comments. This is your opportunity to work with me directly. Any questions that you have about the 5 love languages or pretty much anything else that's going on in your life. But the topic for tonight is the 5 love languages. So don't be shy with your questions. I just covered words. I just covered physical touch. Acts of service, I think, is another really important one to acknowledge, especially because for you fellas, I would have to say acts of service is probably the #1 way that you express your care, your love, your concern for someone. So I think for us ladies, I think touch and words is pretty common, probably words even more so, because we like to talk, we like to express ourselves, we have feelings, we have emotions. You know, we are in a space of being able to express them and talk about them. Whereas for you fellas, being able to take care of things, pay attention to details, to plan things out, to orchestrate an experience is a very, very powerful way to show that you care about someone. And quality time is a good one to address. And the reason why it's #4 is because I personally, I appreciate being able to spend a lot of time with someone, but at the same time, if I don't spend a lot of time with someone, I don't feel bereft of their love. Versus if I don't get a hug or a kiss or a touch or some sort of physical connection from someone, even though we spend a ton of time together, I don't feel as loved. Same with words. Again, I could spend a ton of time with someone, but if there isn't a compliment or an acknowledgement or something, then I don't feel loved. Versus if I don't see someone for 2 weeks, but I hear words and I get some sort of physical satisfaction, even if it's through words, then I still feel loved. And why this is important for your romantic relationships is to notice what your person's love languages are and know what your love language is, and to be sure that you express love in your language, but also take care of the other person in their language. So if you need to be bilingual, so be it. You know, some people are lucky enough to speak the same love languages, so words and touch. Both people speak words and touch, then all of a sudden there's this amazing chemistry and there's just no question because you're speaking the same language. Versus say someone is acts of service and then the other one is words, or say someone's physical touch, but there's landed down here and someone else's physical touch and their level is up here. You know, being able to say, okay, how do we equalize this so that we feel equally fulfilled with each other? And the last love language is gifts. Gift giving, gift receiving. It's interesting, right? So in my matchmaking interviews, either with my clients or for prospective dates, I always ask people what their love languages are, if they know what they are. And I'd have to say gift giving is probably the least mentioned. And I think because maybe we have it kind of wrapped up around holidays or important dates, and so it's not necessarily a way that people think about connecting or showing love. But at the same time, it is a very effective way to show investment and interest. And I think that's why sometimes, you know, men and women have a concept that someone needs to spend a lot of cash or be very big and showy or be very rich or be super successful in order to attract the right kind of person. And yes, while some elements of those things are important depending on the type of lifestyle someone wants to live and share with another human being. When it comes to love languages, unless someone's top love language is receiving gifts or giving gifts, actually, like the whole money and the gift giving and the physical stuff is generally not that important, surprisingly. So I thought that would be important to share because I know a lot of guys come to me asking, like, well, don't I have to be rich? Don't I have to be super successful? Don't I have to drive a nice car? Don't I have to be able to build her a beautiful house? Well, if she's the type of woman that expects those things and that's the type of woman you want, yes. But otherwise, no, a woman is much more interested in the hugs and the kisses and the physical reassurance that she gets from you, or she's much more impressed by the thoughtful cards or the poetry or just like those acknowledgments of something that she did that she's really proud of that you acknowledge her for make a difference. And then of course acts of service. I mean, I'd have to say, like, for you fellas, just taking care of basic things, details, carrying stuff, whatever, opening car doors, right? I know there are some females out there who get really pissed if a guy opens a door for them. And if you're a guy who doesn't want to open doors, then that's a great girl for you. But if you're a guy who likes to open doors because you loves acts of service and she doesn't like that you open her door, then she's not for you. You love this info. Thank you, Ralph. I'm glad that you are appreciating it. And for the rest of you who maybe are not commenting in the live Q&A, but who are watching the replay, please leave your comments below. Smash that like button, smash the share button. If you find this stuff interesting, I have a whole plethora of IGTV episodes. And for those of you on YouTube, I'm starting to build a library for you over there as well of these answers. And it's because when it comes to the world of love, seduction, sex, dating, it is as wide and as powerful and as deep and as mysterious as the ocean. So I'm not trying to come to you as someone who knows everything about everything. What I'm doing is bringing you the answers for the things that I think are most relevant and the easiest to access. So, if you want to dive deeper, I'm available as a private coach. If you want to do some actual proper training, go over to Patreon and sign up for my courses. If you want to do even like a basic training, go over to Patreon and sign up for my courses. Or if you just like to dabble and learn some interesting things here and there, then you are here with me on Instagram and YouTube, and it's a pleasure and a joy to have you here with me. All right, you guys, so this is a live Q&A. You realize that you are working with a professional coach. So this is your opportunity to ask those questions about love, dating, sex, attraction, the 5 love languages. Can you guys hear the helicopters? Can you see? Do you see how smoky this is behind me? You guys, like inside of a fireplace now. This is not typical transmission. And it is super hot, which is why I'm outside. Okay, well, let's just go ahead and dive into why the 5 love. Yes, be safe. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, thanks to my local fire departments, I hope I am. So thank you. All right, stay focused. So why the 5 love languages matter is because they are a source of connection. It is because they are a source of acknowledgement. It is because they are a source of contribution, of purpose, of creation, and expression. So whatever your love language is, being able to understand it, to use it, to speak it, to receive it, are going to make a big difference in the success of your relationships. And I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into that over on Patreon. So again, if you're not already a member, just click on the link in my bio, choose whichever membership level works best for you, and then I will see you over there later where we can deep dive into this, because if you join tonight, that will also be live. But it's important to know how to identify the 5 love languages, both your own. So, real quick tip, if you go Google 5 love languages quiz, I'm pretty sure there's a free quiz out there, and it's helpful to find out which love language is yours, and then the description of which love language is yours, but then practical application is where I'm coming in right now. So again, if you're watching this in replay, maybe you didn't get a chance to watch the live tonight, but if you're watching the replay, you can leave your comments below. You can send me a direct message, and I'm happy to answer whatever questions you have for me, is because this is a really valuable subject for you to know. My gosh, there's so many helicopters. Okay. Something else that you're going to learn if you work with me over on Patreon later tonight is how to apply the love languages. So let's talk about physical touch. Okay, you understand that it's sexual. You understand that it's physical displays of affection. You understand that is other senses, say like through the stomach. But then how do you actually successfully make those work for you, right? So maybe your love language is physical touch and her love language is physical touch, but your physical touch is very soft and sweet and slow, and hers is hard and fast and wicked, right? So it's like you both value physical touch, but you're kind of coming at it from different things. How do you make it work so both of you feel satisfied and fulfilled? And how do you adapt and flow? For me, I actually am not typically was appreciative or excited about receiving gifts, in the sense that I had an ex a long time ago who was very lavish with his gifts and jewelry and things, and it was wonderful in the sense that I'd never had someone do that for me, but at the same time, the relationship wasn't very physical. And if if I'd known then what I know now, while I appreciated the gifts, I would have more preferred the physical touch, right? So I was able to adapt and flow because I did enjoy spending time with this person. I did enjoy the relationship. I enjoyed other things out of it. So even if gift giving or gift receiving wasn't necessarily my top love languages, because it was his top language, I was able to adapt and flow to it and still connect with him in a way that if I had said, no, that's not how I love, that's not how I receive love, then maybe I would have missed out on a really amazing opportunity. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that, how you adapt and how you flow. And especially for you fellas, absolutely, I think love should be like a very good tennis game, like back and forth. Yes, you put something out, someone returns it, but for the sake of like keeping the momentum up in the relationship, whoever has the alpha energy, right? Because some males love female-led relationships, and there are plenty of females who love male-led relationships. So whichever works for you and your dynamic, right? But whoever the alpha is in the relationship is the one who should always be serving. So back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So whoever is doing the serving should be paying attention to the love languages and speaking them and then receiving them. So if that didn't make sense, ask me questions. Otherwise, we're going to dive into it a little bit deeper later. With that said, I'm going to be wrapping up here pretty shortly so I can get myself set up over on Patreon. I hope you are enjoying this topic. I am doing my best to give you as much information as I can in this Q&A session, because I really do want to keep the floor open for those of you out there to ask your questions. And again, if you're watching this on replay, you're welcome to ask your questions in the comments or through direct message. And thank you for the hearts and the likes. I love that. And for those of you who are watching this in replay, definitely smash that like button and the share button. I am Amber DeVos, the seduction expert, and this is my live Q&A in bed session. So it is a real pleasure to be with you. If there are no more questions from my audience, next thing for you to do when this transmission is over is to go to the link in my bio, click through, pick whichever subscription membership level works best for you, and I will see you over there for some more intense training. And until next time, ciao for now. Oh, sorry guys, I need to end the stream. The smoke is really bad. All right, I'll see you over on Patreon.